Friends, today we're not just talking about sketching. Today, it's story time. Not about me, not about anyone I know, I swear. But about some, let's say, hypothetical situations. Think of them as little parables from parallel worlds, where an ordinary sketchbook and pencil suddenly turn into a magic wand in the hands of a hero. Ready? Let's go. Story 1. The architect in the picky client. Picture a young architect. Let's call him Alex. He got a golden opportunity, designing a home for a very important, but incredibly picky client. The client wanted something modern, but cozy, spacious, but not empty, bright, but not cold. Words kept getting tangled, and the blueprints and 3D renders only frustrated the client more. I don't feel it, he kept saying. The deadline was closing in, and the whole project was hanging by a thread. One wrong move, and Alex would lose not just the job, but his reputation. Then, out of sheer desperation, Alex showed up to the next meeting without his laptop. Instead, he pulled out his old, battered sketchbook and a pencil. "Let's just play," he said. "Tell me what your mornings are like. Where do you imagine greeting your guests?" While the client spoke of sunny breakfasts on a terrace and cozy evenings by a fireplace, Alex sketched live, fast, expressive scenes. The house on a hillside, a sweeping terrace, a warm corner by the fire. Not perfect, not technical, but full of feeling. He wasn't drawing walls, he was sketching moments. The client went quiet, then leaned in. "Can we make this window bigger? And here, maybe a bench?" The sketchbook became a bridge. Quick, emotional drawings captured what blueprints couldn't: the feeling of home. The project was saved, not through calculation, but through Alex's ability to sketch a dream into being, in real time. Story 2. The traveler and the lost backpack. Far away, in the mountains of another country, a young traveler, let's call her Sophia, was making her way through a train station. Suddenly, disaster struck. Someone stole her backpack. Gone were her passport, laptop, money, camera. Panic. She didn't speak the language. No ID, no cash, no help. Total nightmare. But in her jacket pocket, Sophia had a tiny sketchbook and a pen. Instead of falling apart, she started to draw. First, just to calm down, she sketched the thief's face, as best she could remember. Then the layout of the station. Then a rough map of the city and where it all happened. With the help of kind strangers, she made it to the police station. Her shaky, broken explanations didn't help much, but her drawings did. She had sketched the thief's hat logo, the strange pattern on his jacket, details she couldn't have put into words. Those nervous sketches became her primary evidence and her guide. Eventually, the backpack was found. The money was gone, but her documents were still inside. Her sketchbook had helped her think clearly, record vital information, and find her way out of chaos. Sketching became her anchor in the storm. Story 3. The engineer and the factory breakdown. Meet Victor, an engineer at a massive factory. One night, disaster struck. The main assembly line froze. Every minute it was down, the company was bleeding money. Specialists ran tests, changed sensors, rebooted systems, nothing worked. Panic spread. Management started pointing fingers. The whole shift was on the verge of collapse. Victor stepped away from the chaos. He sat on a crate, pulled out his pocket notebook, and began to draw. Not a technical blueprint, but a sketch. Arrows, flow lines, main components. A simplified version of the system. As he drew, he started to see the process again, not just look for a single fault. And suddenly, his eye landed on a tiny component, a feeder belt delivering material slightly too early. On a regular diagram, he'd never have noticed it, but in his sketch, it stood out. He showed the drawing to the team. "This timing, right here. That's the clog." They adjusted the sequence, and the line roared back to life. Sketching helped Victor break out of routine thinking. It let him see the system as a whole, and spot what no one else had. Story 4. The gardener and the forgotten plan. In a historic old park, a gardener named Dmitry Petrovich had one dream: to restore a legendary rose garden, long since overgrown. Finally, he got the green light and the funding. But disaster. The only detailed planting plan he had, just one fragile old copy, was lost. The season was ticking away. The budget would be reallocated. His dream might die. Crushed, he sat on a park bench with his notebook, usually for rose diseases, and began to draw. Not write, draw. He started with landmarks he remembered: the fountain, the path, the big oak trees. Then, he let his hands remember the rest. Clusters of red climbers by the gate, white ones near the bench, sun-loving orange blooms on the hill. He didn't draw flowers, he drew shapes, color fields, positions. His muscle memory and deep familiarity with the park did the rest. Page by page, the plan came back to life. That sketchbook became his external hard drive. Thanks to it, the rose garden was reborn. And with it, his years-long dream. Story 5. The overloaded mind and the boiling pot. Now imagine an ordinary person. Let's say, Olga, work, family, chores, notifications, messages, endless tabs open in her brain. Her head felt like a pressure cooker. Sleep, gone. Patience, thin. She was on the edge of burnout. One evening, instead of doom-scrolling, she pulled an old blank notebook off the shelf. Almost instinctively, she started to draw. At first, just random doodles, to let off steam. Then her chipped teacup. Then the view from her window. Rooftops and tree silhouettes at dusk. Then, visual to-do lists, little icons instead of words, washing machine, loaf of bread, phone call. Drawing slowed her breathing, made her focus. The noise in her head began to quiet. Evenings became sketch time. Her notebook became a mental declutterer, a pressure release valve. She wasn't making art, she was reclaiming space. Sketching didn't magically fix everything, but it gave her clarity, presence, and enough calm to keep going. Conclusion. So, there you go. Little tales from parallel worlds. Made up? Of course, but in each of them, there's a grain of truth. Because sometimes, a humble sketchbook and pencil aren't just for drawing. They're tools for thinking, for remembering, for seeing what words can't express. When memory fails, when systems break, when panic rises, or when life gets loud, a quick, human sketch can offer an unexpected way forward. So if you ever find yourself in your own version of one of these stories, maybe it's time to take out a blank page and start drawing your way out. Take care.